Many people stay in relationships that do not serve them because they are afraid of being alone. They lower their standards, compromise their values, and accept treatment that falls short of what they truly desire. They tell themselves that love requires sacrifice, and while this is true in some ways, it should never mean sacrificing your self-worth. The fear of being alone often makes people cling to relationships that drain them emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually. Instead of thriving, they find themselves merely surviving, holding on to someone who does not truly value or appreciate them. Settling happens in different ways. Some settle for inconsistency, allowing a person to come in and out of their lives whenever it is convenient for them. Others settle for disrespect, ignoring red flags and excusing behaviors that make them feel unworthy or unimportant. Some settle for relationships with people who are emotionally unavailable, constantly trying to prove their worth in hopes that the other person will change. Yeah. The reality is that settling never leads to happiness. It only prolongs pain and delays the love that is truly meant for you. At the core of settling is a mindset that whispers, "This is the best I can get." When people do not fully believe they deserve better, they become trapped in relationships that do not align with their value. Sometimes this belief is rooted in past experiences. Perhaps they have been hurt before, abandoned, or made to feel like love is something they have to earn. These experiences create a fear that if they walk away, they will not find anything better. This fear keeps them in cycles of unfulfilling love, convincing them that mediocre affection is better than nothing at all. What many fail to realize is that settling for less does not just affect the heart. It affects the mind, confidence, and overall well-being. When someone constantly has to fight to be seen, heard, or valued in a relationship, it diminishes their self-esteem. They begin to question whether they are the problem, whether they are asking for too much, or whether they need to change who they are to be loved properly. But the truth is, love should not feel like a battle for basic respect and appreciation. Love should not require someone to constantly prove their worth. The moment a person decides to stop settling, something powerful happens. They start to reclaim their worth. They realize that being alone is far better than being in a relationship that makes them feel unloved. They understand that love is not about begging someone to choose them, but about aligning with someone who sees their value effortlessly. Walking away from less than what you deserve is not just about leaving a person. It is about choosing yourself. It is about standing firm in the belief that real love does exist and that it will find you when you refuse to accept anything less. Choosing not to settle requires courage. It means being willing to wait for the love that aligns with your standards, even when loneliness tries to convince you otherwise. It means trusting that your worth is not determined by whether or not someone chooses. The right person will not require you to shrink yourself, tolerate mistreatment, or accept inconsistency. The right person will love you in a way that feels secure, honoring, and uplifting. Often, people who refuse to settle experience a transformation within themselves. They start focusing on self-love, healing, and growth. Instead of chasing relationships that drain them, they invest in their own joy, passions, and purpose. They understand that love should be an addition to their life, not something that completes them. This shift in mindset makes them more attractive, not just to others, but to the right kind of love. When you stand in your worth, you attract relationships that reflect that worth. It is important to remember that love is not meant to be a source of pain or uncertainty. If a relationship leaves you feeling more anxious than at peace, more insecure than confident, it is not love. It is attachment, dependency, or fear masquerading as love. Real love is steady, consistent, and life-giving. It does not require you to beg for the bare minimum or compromise your self-respect. Walking away from a relationship that does not serve you may feel difficult at first, but in the long run, it opens the door to something better. When you decide to stop settling, you send a message to yourself and to the universe that you are ready for the love you truly deserve. You step into a space of abundance rather than scarcity, knowing that the right love will come in due time. You free yourself from the exhaustion of chasing and instead step into the power of attracting. Ultimately, the love you desire begins with how you treat yourself. If you accept less than you deserve, you will continue to receive less than you deserve. But if you hold yourself to a higher standard, refusing to entertain relationships that drain, diminish, or devalue you, you make space for a love that honors, cherishes, and celebrates you. Love should never make you feel small. It should never make you question your worth. The right love will meet you at your level, not ask you to lower it. Many people enter relationships with the belief that they must become someone else to be loved. They hide parts of themselves, suppress their true thoughts, and mold their personalities to fit what they think their partner wants. They smile when they want to cry, agree when they want to disagree, and play a role rather than showing up as their authentic selves. This might seem like a way to keep love, but in reality, it only leads to exhaustion, resentment, and ultimately, heartbreak. Love that is built on a false version of yourself is not real love at all. When a person pretends to be someone they are not, they are sending themselves a dangerous message. Who I really am is not enough. They start to believe that their true self is unlovable or undesirable. This belief can stem from childhood experiences, past rejections, or societal expectations. Maybe they were told that they were too loud, too quiet, too ambitious, or too different. Over time, they learned that in order to be accepted, they had to fit into a mold that was never meant for them. But the problem with wearing a mask is that it eventually becomes too heavy to carry. Pretending to be someone else is not only draining, but it also creates a false foundation for a relationship. If someone falls in love with a version of you that is not real, they are not truly in love with you. They're in love with the act you are putting on. This means that you will always feel the pressure to maintain that illusion. Afraid that if you show your true self. But real love is not based on performance. It is based on connection, understanding, and truth. One of the biggest fears people have is that if they show their true selves, they will not be accepted. But the right person will not just accept you, they will appreciate you for who you truly are. They will not need you to tone down your personality, silence your opinions, or fit into their expectations. Instead, they will celebrate your uniqueness, encourage your growth, and love you in a way that allows you to be fully yourself. When a person constantly hides who they are, they miss out on a deeper kind of love. True intimacy comes from vulnerability. It comes from the ability to share your thoughts, fears, and dreams without the fear of being judged. When you pretend to be someone you are not, you rob yourself of the chance to experience this depth of connection. You might feel safe in the short term, but in the long run, you will feel empty because you are not being seen for who you truly are. Another problem with pretending is that it attracts the wrong people. If you put on a different personality to attract love, you will attract someone who is looking for that version of you, not the real you. This leads to relationships that feel out of alignment, where you constantly feel misunderstood or disconnected. On the other hand, when you are unapologetically yourself, you naturally attract people who align with your true energy. This is why self-acceptance is key to finding the right kind of love. Choosing to be authentic in relationships requires courage. It means risking rejection, but it also means making space for the right person to come into your life. The wrong people will leave when you stop pretending, but the right ones will stay. The ones who are meant for you will love you in your fullness, not just in the parts that are easy to accept. It is also important to remember that you deserve a love where you do not have to constantly prove your worth. If you feel like you have to perform to keep someone's attention, that is not love. That is insecurity. Love should feel like home. It should feel like a place where you can exhale, where you can be goofy, serious, ambitious, quiet, loud, whatever version of yourself you are in the moment. The right person will love all of it. Breaking the habit of pretending starts with self-love. When you fully accept yourself, you stop looking for validation from others. You become comfortable in your own skin, knowing that the right love will find you when you show up as your true self. This does not mean that you stop growing or improving, but it means that you grow into the best version of yourself, not into someone you are not meant to be. At the end of the day, real love is not about impressing someone. It is about connecting with them on a soul level. It is about finding a person who sees your flaws and loves you anyway, who understands your quirks and embraces them. The love you truly deserve will never require you to be anything other than yourself. When you stop pretending, you make space for a love that is real, deep, and lasting. Many people believe that in order to find love, They must chase after it. They put in all their energy trying to win someone over, proving their worth, and convincing others to love them. They send the first text, make all the plans, and hold on to relationships where they are the only ones putting in effort. The truth is, love that is meant for you does not require you to chase it. When you constantly pursue people who are not reciprocating your energy, you end up exhausted, frustrated, and heartbroken. Instead of chasing love, the key is to focus on attracting it by becoming the best version of yourself. Chasing love often comes from a place of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of not being chosen, or fear that if you do not put in all the effort, no one else will. But love is not meant to be a game of pursuit. If someone truly values you, they will meet you halfway. When you have to chase someone just to keep their attention, it means they are not as invested as you are. Relationships should be built on mutual effort, not one-sided chasing. When you stop chasing, you allow space for the right person to step in and pursue you in a way that feels natural and balanced. The problem with chasing is that it often leads to settling for less than you deserve. When you are in pursuit, you may ignore red flags or accept inconsistent behavior just because you want love so badly. You might justify someone's lack of effort, telling yourself that if you just try harder, they will eventually see your value. But love does not work that way. If someone does not see your worth from the start, no amount of chasing will change that. Real love is given freely, not earned through effort. Instead of chasing, the focus should be on attracting the right kind of love. Attraction happens when you're secure in yourself, living your best life, and radiating confidence. When you invest in your personal growth, passions, and happiness, you naturally draw people towards you who align with your energy. People are drawn to those who are fulfilled within themselves, not those who are desperately seeking validation from others. This is why self-love is so important. It creates an aura of confidence and wholeness that naturally attracts the right kind of love. Attraction also comes from setting boundaries. When you respect yourself enough to walk away from people who do not value you, you make room for someone who will. Many people stay in situations where they are undervalued because they fear losing the person they are chasing. But letting go of people who are not fully invested in you is not a loss. It is a gain. It frees you from relationships that drain you and opens the door for love that is reciprocated and fulfilling. One of the most powerful things you can do is shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Instead of believing that love is rare and that you must chase after it, trust that love will come to you at the right time. There is no need to rush or force connections. When you are operating from a place of abundance, you know that the right person will recognize your value without you having to prove it. You trust that love is not something you have to beg for. It is something that will flow naturally into your life when the time is right. Many people who stop chasing and start attracting experience a transformation in their love lives. They go from feeling desperate and unappreciated to feeling confident and at peace. They no longer waste time on people who are unsure about them. Instead, they attract partners who are genuinely excited to be with them, who put in effort without being asked, and who match their energy. This shift is not about playing hard to get. It is about knowing your worth and refusing to settle for anything less than you deserve. It is also important to remember that attraction is not just about looks or status. It is about energy. People are drawn to those who are happy, fulfilled, and passionate about life. When you are focused on your own growth, you become naturally attractive to the right person. Love should enhance your life, not be the thing that defines it. When you are secure in who you are, you do not need to chase love because you know that the right love will find you. At the end of the day, the love you desire will never require you to run after it. The right person will be just as eager to be with you as you are to be with them. Love should feel mutual, effortless, and aligned. When you stop chasing and start attracting, you step into a space where love flows naturally into your life. You no longer waste energy on people who do not see your worth. Instead, you make room for the kind of love that is genuine, consistent, and truly meant for you. In today's world, it's easy to fall into the trap of comparing your love life to others. With social media constantly showcasing picture-perfect relationships, engagements, weddings, and romantic vacations, it can feel like everyone else has found love while you're still waiting. This comparison can make you question your own journey, making you feel like you are behind unworthy, or simply unlucky in love. But the truth is, love is not a competition, and your path to finding it is unique. When you stop comparing your love journey to others, you free yourself from unnecessary pressure and allow love to unfold in its own perfect timing. One of the biggest dangers of comparison is that it creates unrealistic expectations. When you see other people in happy relationships, it's natural to assume they have it all figured out. You may start believing that love should look a certain way, happen at a certain time, or follow a specific pattern. But what you see on the outside rarely tells the full story. Many of the relationships you admire have their own struggles behind the scenes, struggles you may never see. People post their highlights, not their hardships. When you compare yourself to others based on what they choose to share, you are measuring your reality against an illusion. Another problem with comparison is that it can make you settle for love that isn't right for you. When you feel pressured by what you see around you, you may rush into relationships just to feel like you're keeping up. You might stay in an unhealthy situation because you don't want to be the only one who is single. This leads to making decisions based on external pressure rather than genuine connection. But love should never be forced or rushed. Just because someone else found love quickly doesn't mean your journey is wrong. Love is not about being the first to cross a finish line. It's about finding the right person at the right time. Every person's love story is different because we are all on different paths. Some people meet their life partner in high school, while others don't find deep love until later in life. Some people experience heartbreak before they find the right one. Why? While others marry their first love. None of these journeys are better or worse. What matters is that your journey leads you to the love that is meant for you. Trusting your own path means embracing your unique timeline instead of trying to match someone else's. Instead of comparing, focus on growth. If you are single, use this time to invest in yourself, heal from past wounds, and prepare yourself for the love you truly desire. If you are in a relationship, focus on nurturing and strengthening it instead of comparing it to others. The healthiest relationships are built on authenticity, not on meeting society's expectations. When you shift your energy from comparison to personal growth, you naturally attract the right love at the right time. A key to overcoming comparison is gratitude. When you constantly compare your love life to others, you focus on what you lack instead of what you have. But when you practice gratitude, you recognize the beauty of your own journey. Instead of envying someone else's love story, appreciate where you are right now. Every stage of life, whether single, dating, or in a relationship, has its own lessons and blessings. When you learn to value your current season, you open yourself up to receiving love in a way that is healthy and fulfilling. Another important shift is learning to celebrate others without feeling like you are falling behind. Just because someone else is finding love does not mean there is less love available for you. Love is not a limited resource. There is no need to feel like you are losing just because someone else is winning. When you genuinely celebrate love in others, you create positive energy that attracts love into your own life. Instead of comparing, be happy for those who have found love, knowing that your turn is coming. It is also essential to define love on your own terms. What works for one person may not work for you, and that's okay. Maybe you don't want the kind of relationship that someone else has. Maybe your ideal love looks different from what society promotes. True happiness and love comes from understanding what you need and desire, not from copying someone else's version of love. When you stop comparing, you gain clarity about what kind of love is right for you, making it easier to recognize when it comes. Trusting your love journey requires faith. It means believing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, even when it doesn't look the way you expected. Love is not about timelines, appearances, or meeting external expectations. It is about connection, growth, and authenticity. When you embrace your own journey, you release the stress, pressure, and doubt that comparison brings. You become open to love in its truest form, allowing it to find you when the time is right. At the end of the day, your love story is yours alone. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's to be meaningful, fulfilling, and beautiful. When you stop comparing your journey to others, you step into the freedom to experience love in the way that is meant for you. The right love will come in its own time, in its own way, and it will be worth the wait. Many people struggle to find love because they are still holding on to their past. Whether it's the pain of a failed relationship, the betrayal of someone they trusted, or the disappointment of unfulfilled expectations, they carry the weight of these experiences into their present and future. This emotional baggage affects how they see love, how they approach relationships, and how open they are to receiving love again. If you truly want to find love, you must learn to release the past and make space for something new. Holding on to past hurts only creates barriers that prevent love from entering your life. One of the biggest ways the past can interfere with love is through unresolved heartbreak. When a relationship ends, it can leave deep wounds that take time to heal. If you don't fully process these emotions, they remain buried inside you, affecting your ability to connect with someone new. You may find yourself constantly thinking about an ex, comparing new people to them, or even fearing that history will repeat itself. This prevents you from being fully present in a new relationship because part of you is still attached to what once was. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It means accepting that the past is over and choosing to move forward with an open heart. Another way the past affects love is through trust issues. If you have been betrayed, lied to, or hurt in a previous relationship, it's natural to want to protect yourself from experiencing that pain again. However, if you let fear control you, you will struggle to build healthy connections. You may become overly suspicious, avoid emotional intimacy, or push people away before they have a chance to get close to you. While it's important to learn from past experiences, it's also important to recognize that not everyone is the same. Carrying past fears into new relationships only punishes people who had nothing to do with your past pain. Forgiveness is a powerful step in releasing the past. This doesn't mean excusing what happened or pretending it didn't hurt. It means choosing to let go of the hold it has over you. Forgiveness is not just for the person who hurt you, it's for you. When you hold on to resentment, you keep yourself emotionally tied to the past. You give power to the pain instead of reclaiming your own peace. By forgiving, you free yourself to love again without carrying old wounds into new beginnings. Self-forgiveness is just as important. Many people hold on to guilt over past mistakes, blaming themselves for relationships that didn't work out. Maybe you feel like you stayed too long in a toxic situation, ignored red flags, or made choices you now regret. But holding on to shame only keeps you stuck. Every experience, even painful ones, holds a lesson. Instead of punishing yourself for the past, use it as a tool for growth. Accept that you did the best you could with what you knew at the time and commit to making better choices moving forward. Releasing the past also means letting go of unrealistic expectations. Sometimes people hold on to a fantasy of what love should have been instead of embracing what it could be. Maybe you believe that your first love would last forever, or maybe you are still waiting for closure from someone who has already moved on. These expectations keep you trapped in a cycle of longing and disappointment. True love cannot thrive in a heart that is still clinging to what might have been. The more you let go of the past, the more you open yourself to the love that is meant for you. Healing is a process and it takes time. You don't have to force yourself to move on before you are ready, but you do have to make the choice to heal. This might mean journaling, seeking therapy, practicing self-care, or surrounding yourself with positive influences. Whatever healing looks like for you, make it a priority. The healthier and more whole you become, the more ready you will be to receive love in a way that is fulfilling and lasting. Another important step in letting go is shifting your perspective. Instead of seeing past relationships as failures, see them as stepping stones that prepared you for something better. Every heartbreak, disappointment, and lesson has shaped you into the person you are today. The past was not meant to break you. It was meant to teach you. When you view your experiences as part of your growth rather than as mistakes, you approach love with a sense of wisdom instead of fear. Finding love requires emotional availability. If your heart is still tied to the past, it's hard for new love to reach you. Imagine trying to open a new door while still holding on to the handle of an old one. You can't fully step forward until you let go. Love requires space to grow, and that space is created when you release what no longer serves you. At the end of the day, letting go of the past is about choosing your future over your history. It's about deciding that you deserve a love that is healthy, whole, and free from the shadows of old wounds. The past does not define you, and it certainly does not determine your ability to find love. When you release what was, you make room for what is to come. The love that is meant for you will find you when you are truly open to receiving it. One of the biggest barriers to finding love is the fear of vulnerability. Many people desire deep, meaningful connections, but struggle to open themselves up to the possibility of getting hurt. They build emotional walls, avoid difficult conversations, and present a version of themselves that feels safe rather than authentic. However, true love requires honesty, openness, and the willingness to be seen for who you truly are. If you want to find love, you must be willing to be vulnerable. Love cannot thrive in a space where fear and self-protection take priority over genuine connection. At its core, vulnerability is about emotional openness. It means sharing your thoughts, feelings, and experiences without the fear of judgment. Many people hesitate to be vulnerable because they associate it with weakness. They believe that revealing their emotions makes them too sensitive, too needy, or too exposed. But in reality, vulnerability is one of the greatest strengths a person can have. It takes courage to show your true self, especially in a world that often encourages emotional detachment and self-protection. Love requires a level of bravery, because opening your heart always comes with the possibility of pain. But without vulnerability, love cannot fully grow. A common reason people struggle with vulnerability is past hurt. If you've been rejected, betrayed, or abandoned in the past, it is natural to develop protective walls. You may fear that if you open up again, history will repeat itself. But while these walls may shield you from pain, they also block you from experiencing love in its fullest form. Love is about connection, and connection cannot happen without honesty and openness. The right person will not see your vulnerability as a weakness. They will see it as a bridge to deeper intimacy. Another reason people avoid vulnerability is the fear of rejection. No one wants to expose their true self only to be met with indifference or dismissal. However, rejection is not necessarily a bad thing. It simply means that the other person is not the right match for you. When you are vulnerable, you allow yourself to be seen fully. This means that the right people will recognize and appreciate you for who you are, while the wrong ones will naturally fade away. Rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It is simply redirection towards someone who will value and embrace your authenticity. A key aspect of vulnerability is effective communication. Many people avoid discussing their feelings, needs, and fears because they worry about being judged or misunderstood. However, a healthy relationship requires open dialogue. If you are afraid to express your emotions, your partner will never truly know what you need from them. Vulnerability in communication means being honest about what you feel, even when it is uncomfortable. It means being willing to have difficult conversations, to express your fears and desires, and to let someone in emotionally. When you communicate openly, you create a relationship built on trust, understanding, and emotional safety. Vulnerability also means being willing to receive love. Many people desire love, but struggle to accept it when it is given. They may downplay compliments, reject acts of kindness, or push people away when they get too close. This often stems from a belief that they are not truly worthy of love. But love is not something you have to earn. It is something you deserve simply by being yourself. When you allow yourself to receive love without resistance, you create space for a relationship that is nourishing and fulfilling. Another important aspect of vulnerability is self-acceptance. To be vulnerable with someone else, you must first be vulnerable with yourself. This means embracing your flaws, insecurities, and past mistakes. It means recognizing that you are human, imperfect, and still worthy of love. When you accept yourself fully, you invite others to do the same. People are drawn to authenticity. The more real you are, the more meaningful your connections will be. It is also important to understand that vulnerability does not mean oversharing or revealing everything all at once. It is about gradually opening up in a way that feels safe and natural. Trust is built over time, and vulnerability should be given in layers. You do not have to expose your deepest wounds on the first date, but you should allow yourself to open up as a relationship progresses. Love grows through shared experiences, honest conversations, and mutual emotional investment. Vulnerability is a risk, but it is a risk worth taking. When you hold back out of fear, you limit your ability to experience love in its deepest form. Yes, opening up means you might get hurt, But it also means you might find the connection you have been longing for. Love cannot flourish in a space of emotional distance and self-protection. It needs openness, trust, and the courage to be seen. At the end of the day, love is about connection, and connection requires vulnerability. If you want to find real, lasting love, you must be willing to let someone see the real you. Not just the polished version, not just the parts you think are acceptable, but all of you. The right person will not run away from your vulnerability. They will appreciate it, respect it, and meet it with their own openness. Love is not about perfection. It is about two imperfect people choosing to be real with each other. When you embrace vulnerability, you open the door to a love that is deep, authentic, and truly life-changing.